Questions again?
You want to give us a rundown of your pitchers? What are the strengths of each of them and how they're developing with the battery?
Um, I think the overall strength is their competitors, and they love growing and getting better every single day. So they're workers, and they've really fed off each other in that way. So they've never quite taken a day off, and sometimes you kind of have to reel them back a little bit, which, that's how Devin was. And I think I would way much prefer that than anything else. So they've done nothing but get better. We kind of were looking at their numbers compared to fall and where they came in, and everything's gotten better. So they are entirely ready to face a different team, I think, and I think our offenses as well. But strength-wise, I mean, their presence is great, and like stuff-wise aside, they want to compete and they want to win, and I think they feed into the fact that they have a great team behind them, that they need to just do their job and nothing more, nothing less, and be excellent at what they do. So it's been a grind. I think, when you have transfers come in, they're not used to facing necessarily a lineup like this day in and day out, and because there's 4 of them, they get to face them a lot. So I think they're ready for the challenge of a new opponent.
What are the advantages of having that smaller staff this year?
They're all getting time, and I think they're all getting the bulk work that they need, and in different roles. So you know us, that we like to bring people in different ways, and we're gonna practice something today that we haven't done yet, and it's been great that we've been able to do that every single day. So, I think just the load, the one-on-one time Christian gets with them. I mean, all of their bullpens are solo bullpens. They get to throw on the field. Just a lot of logistical things that put them in a better spot. I think our PFP, which is their fielding practice, is more intense because there's 4 of them, and they're getting gassed a little bit until they get in shape. And it's something else. Like, you could buy into that part of your game or not buy into that part of the game, and they understand how important it is. So it's been really refreshing just to have a bunch of competitors and workers in the circle.
Have you determined who's going to get the ball for the opener?
We have not.
Do you expect to use all 4 of them
On day one?
or throughout?
I think in a doubleheader, I would love for them to all get the ball at some point. I mean, I think, first day of season, there's a lot of feelings going on, a lot of butterflies, and it's great to get their feet wet. And, they've had a little bit of that in inter squads, but you guys all know when you put people in the stands, it's a different ball game. So, but yeah, I'm excited for learning about their pairings too. Like, we're going to learn about this team in the first couple months, and I'm excited about it. Like, who plays well together, and what looks are tough on the opposing offensive side.
I assume you had a lot to do with putting the schedule together, the knock-on, which is very, very difficult. A lot of high-profile opponents. What do you think that will do for your team over the course of it?
Well, honestly, I think it's great right off the bat to kind of play in a World Series environment, see how see how everybody does. I think, people are stepping into this uniform for the first time. There's going to be a packed stadium from week 1. And I think it's important to see who just relishes those moments and performs at a high level and, knows how to also slow the game down and kind of stay steady and consistent. So I've seen a lot of great things out of the team, and then it's a matter of like putting us all on one side and what do we look like together. And there's quite a few people that need and deserve at-bats in this first, week, 2 weeks, and we're going to learn a lot about what that offense looks like, what that defense looks like.
Is Kelsey healthy?
She is healthy. I am very proud to report. She's been, she has worked her tail off, and let me tell you, ACL rehab is no joke if you've not experienced it, and she stayed very tough throughout the process, and that winter break was kind of the that checkpoint of, she went home to see her doctor to get fully cleared, and so, we're all just sitting, waiting, and she hadn't done anything really softball wise up until that point as far as like game-like reps. So just very excited to get her back, and I think it added a little jolt to our lineup as well. So yeah, she's been taking a lot of reps, and we've tried to manage the load as well.
Grace Jenkins goes into the portal. You see that name pop up. You're probably pretty excited, but you know that you already have a catcher.
Yeah.
So how did you know that she'd be able to play a different position, and why did you pursue?
You know,
or-
honestly, that describes it perfectly. You see a catcher go in and you're like, man, that is not the position of need. So you want to be very careful about that. And very few people, I mean, catching is one of those positions you don't expect, to be super versatile as far as being able to plug and play anywhere. And I think it takes a special person to be a senior, enter the portal with the stats that she has in the position that she had, and be willing to reinvent their game in a way defensively. And she is that special person, and she is selfless. She stepped right in, and I was fully upfront and honest in our commitment meeting that I was like, I'm gonna work you in right field. Like, and how do you feel about that? Because one thing I'm not going to do is lie to you and then stick you out there. It's never going to provide for a good experience. So she was all into it. I mean, she's repped out some stuff at first base. She will see some time behind the plate. But I think it just takes a special player. She did a couple things against Grand Canyon in the fall that I was just like shocked. And, day one in the outfield, we had just a grip of whole new people. And I was like, I'm going to gas you guys. That's what I said day one. I'm like, because until we get in shape, we can't make strides. And they did not look back. I mean, they were like all about the hard and bought into it, held themselves to a standard, and it was hard every single day to get them to this point. And I'm just so proud of the growth they had throughout the entire fall in January too.
What is it to have two catchers trying to make, break into outfield positions?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think it says a lot about our team because they're team-centric, focused, and like whatever the team needs to win. Like if that means me in left field, right field, because I'm, in the offensive lineup, great. I also think we have a grip of outfielders that could crack their way into the lineup, and they're all offensive weapons. So I really want to do a good job of learning about, our full team this first couple months. And, we have a lot of creative ways to make changes, too, in the lineup. So that's going to be exciting for us to kind of figure out.
One more question about the schedule. The last part of the schedule, I think you have like one home series out of the last 5 or so. Did you have any control over that, and what do you make of?
That's a Big 12, just them wanting to have more of a weather schedule. So we host early on, and then we go on the road later on, and all about it. All about it when we travel to certain places. So, we got to go to Kansas last year. It was 70 degrees, and that was, our players were like, it's so beautiful. Like, it was like 30 last week, but I think it's just an effort to, get those games in, and I think it's a huge advantage for us as a conference to be able to hopefully, be able to play all of those games.
And, the Pac-12 seemed hesitant to do that. They send you up at a bad time to Washington, and then, so what does it say about the Big 12 that they're looking at those things?
I think they look at historically what's happened in those series, and they're just making a conscious effort to make it better for everyone around. We talk a lot about student athlete experience, but that's a huge thing, right? Is to not, send someone to play an outdoor sport in 35 degrees, So I think we did a great job, like as a full conference last year, getting most of our games in. I think a couple teams had a harder time pre-con, but it was super helpful for us.
Going back to the portal, obviously you guys lost a lot of talent, but brought in a lot of talent too. How do you think you guys kind of made out with recruiting?
The first visit we had for incoming transfers was Serenity, Janae, and Tele. And it was a breath of fresh air. I think that they came in acting like Wildcats already, and talk about, Addison too, I believe, actually. So could be 4 different personalities, and they all, we went to dinner, they were already best friends, and I think all super ready for the challenge of like leveling up in their own personal game, in their own personal way. So, I think 3 of the 4 or all 4 were here in July on their own working, and a month before we even got together as a team. And I think it just says a lot about the transfers we brought in as a whole. And I think, Grace and Jalen, Jalen I knew from first phone call. I'm like, she has to come here. Like, we just vibed so well. I think she felt that too, because that was a pretty fast turnaround. And Grace I had to think about, because I'm like, man, I don't know what I can promise this kid catching-wise, but I want her bat in our lineup for sure, and has just been a gem of a human. And I think it's hard with a transfer portal, like understanding that you want to bring in your culture kids, but you also got to bring in elite talent. And I think we were able to do a good job of both.
Have you come to accept the reality that the portal is just going to be a part of this deal moving forward, whether you like it or not?
Yeah, I think everybody's accepted that. I think, everyone has ways I think they would like to see it change as far as the rules and the bending of the rules go, but it is a part of our game. And so we went to I credit our entire staff for, the June that we put in. And I feel like we had a collective group hug after June, and it was just like, all right, like we see this pulling together, and we could see the future about what it was going to be like. And then honestly, I think our first day of practice, we were like, okay, like wherever you can play, go to that position, and we're going to try out everybody everywhere and see what it looks like. And it was exciting for us because not only did we have a bunch of athletes, but we had a bunch of athletes that were like, where do you want me? Like, let's go. I'll fit wherever. And it's going to provide us a lot of versatility and a lot of ways to use them. And it's fun. Like, practice was fun this fall. They love the game in a lot of ways, in a lot of the hard ways that not a lot of people do. So they love the sticky stuff. They love the, 6 days a week. They might not admit it, but they just love competing together, and they want to be the best.
What happened at Jalen's last stop last year was very public. How do you deal with a player that's maybe coming from a difficult environment and make that connection, of trust or whatever?
Well, I can only speak about what her experience has been like here, but my first phone call went amazing, and then her phone call with Christian, I remember Christian calling me and like, yeah, like, stuff-wise, even aside, sometimes you're just like, we want her on our staff, and, she comes from a great family who's, you can tell why she is the way she is, and she's just a competitor, and she's one you have to reel back, because I'm pretty sure she was throwing batting practice at her last school, and I was like, what? Like every day, and she's like, yeah, and it's probably a reason she threw 200 innings, and but she's just soaked up everything Christian has had to say, and I think that has been a collective experience in the bullpen that we were missing a little bit last year as far as the buy-in, and I think it's been exciting to watch them fail a little bit, but buy into the process. Fail a little bit, buy into the process. Have some success. Keep buying into the process. And it's been really great. And she's taken on kind of that, I've been here before type of personality, and has had people just, chomping at the bit to be next to that energy too.
Is it easier to get buy-in with fewer people then?
Say it again.
Is it easier to get buy-in with fewer?
No, I think it's the right mentality. To be honest, I think you got to show up and kind of check some things and be all into the program. And I don't say that pitching wise. I say that collectively. I think, for a Grace to buy into right field, and EK's been working behind the plate in left field, and Kiki has played, every position except for pitcher and catcher, and it's just that's the personality that they have. So it's very selfless, team centric, and whatever we need to find a way to win. So, I think I've had to check them maybe 2 times as far as like, come on, like refocus. They just come ready to work every single day.
What are the ways in which Reagan Shockey influences the game?
What are the ways in which she doesn't influence the game, I would argue? I would say softball-wise, she just has a competitive energy that's unmatched, so it makes you want to be better. Softball-wise, when she steps onto the field, she is someone that earns everyone's trust from the get-go, so that she can be, stern as well as, a loving type of personality out there. But she is someone that demands excellence from everyone every day, and everybody rises to meet that standard. So can't say enough about her as a human being and as well as a softball player. I think she doesn't give herself enough credit sometimes, but she will do anything to help the team win, and as well as just be in your corner. She wants every single person to be great, because she knows that's going to make us great as a team.
people will compare her to you because of the position she plays, the style of play, et cetera. Is that something that you embrace? Or do you kind of shy away from that sort of thing?
Well, that's an honor, I would say, and they shouldn't compare her to me because she is her own person in a whole lot of great ways. And, you know, I would have paid money to step in the way she did freshman year, I think. And I think she had a maturity about her, a just presence about her, and just so proud to be her coach. I think the sky's the limit. She's going to keep growing and maybe swing away a little bit this year, which is exciting for her. Yeah, and I'm ready for her to just go out and play free. I think that's when she's her best.
Does it ever surprise you? It surprised me that she's only a junior. I keep thinking she's a senior, but I mean, that maturity, did it surprise you?
Yes and no. I mean, I know her. I mean, her parents have built her into the human she is. She's also got 4 brothers, which will build you into a certain person as well. And she holds her own very well in that family. But for me, it was just, I think freshman year, when you step into the first day of practice, I think you can be nervous or, you know, kind of like toe dip your way into a practice. And she cannonballed her way in and said, "I'm here," and made her presence known. And she also held people to standards right away. I mean, I think her and Carly Scoopin had a really great relationship, and it's always just a mutual respect thing. Like, you come in, you put all the work in, and you deserve to say your piece. And I think the level of our program just went up the moment she stepped in, and we feel it when she's not in there. You know, heaven forbid, never that she's not in there. But I think she's done a great job too. I think she stepped into more of a leadership role very naturally this year, and she was a leader on the team last year. But this year, with so many new faces, it's like, okay, you know, we're going to teach you what being an Arizona Wildcat is, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And, you know, I think it takes that, but it also takes a whole lot of buy-in from people that are coming in. I think we had both this year.
Players were talking about some of the newcomers right side of the infield. You've got Serenity and Sina. With Serenity, they were talking about her energy. With Sina, they were talking about her maturity. What do you make of what those two bring?
Yeah, so we have a few people working on that side of the field, but Serenity, day one, I mean, just like I said with Reagan, day one, just kind of, she was perfectly herself on the field. I mean, she field the ball, do a spin, like, just very different from Reagan, and in the same breath, very similar, competitive energy-wise. So that was a huge, just like, burst of energy for our infield. You know, and she was walking into a very solidified, you know, Taylor Beal and Jenna Sniffen on the side, and I think we loved the influx of that energy. First base-wise, I mean, Kez is working over there, Sina's working over there, Anissa's working over there, Kiki can slot in. I have been incredibly impressed with Sina's growth from the beginning of fall to now, and she has become very mature at the plate. She's become very mature at first base. She does not take herself too seriously, and I love that about her. And Kez is someone who is, I mean, she's naturally a shortstop catcher, and she's working over there because that's the position we need filled. So both very capable and allow us to do a few different things. I mean, I think, you know, an outfield spot, DP spot, first base, like that can all kind of get into rotation depending on how we want it to look.
Going back to the schedule, was it with the first tournaments a little bit different formats than we're used to? Was it kind of Oklahoma's idea that it might make it kind of like a series for them, or is it just kind of how it ended up?
It wasn't. It was a tournament to start, and then we had a couple teams drop out because, you know, for whatever reason. So instead of doing something else, we're just like, let's make it a 3-game series. And we had organized, you know, Taylor McQuillan's going to have a little homecoming on Thursday with Southern Utah. They're playing in a different tournament, actually. So we have that doubleheader scheduled for Thursday. But it was a full field of teams, and then just luck of the draw, people started dropping out. And so it's going to be a nice challenge. I mean, we don't get 3-game series practice until later on, so especially against a very high-level team. So it's going to be exciting. We've got a lot of, you know, young hitting who they haven't been challenged yet as far as that goes. They've been challenged against us, but a new opponent, and we're going to figure out how we can make adjustments from game 1 to game 3. So that's exciting for us.
You guys are 17 to 20-ish in the preseason polls, picked to finish 3rd in the Big 12. Do you think that's a fair representation of where you're at or what you're capable of?
I don't think preseason polls mean anything, to be honest. I don't take them too seriously. I think we are going to learn a whole lot about our team in the first couple months, and I want to do a very good job in this position of making sure we know what we are capable of 1 through 20. And I think that's going to be super important because there's a lot of people that deserve at-bats, chances, and we got to figure out what that looks like as far as, rotating people in different pieces within a game or giving people their shots kind of game to game. So we're going to find out some things, I think, right off the jump.
The LSU series in the middle of conference, I don't ever remember you guys playing a series, like that. How'd that come about, and what do you guys get from that in the middle of Big 12?
Well, we get kind of like a spreadsheet grid of bye-weekend opponents that you match up with. That's kind of how it works. So, Beth reached out, and we knew that was going to be a great weekend for us. I think we kind of fought tooth and nail, like back and forth on who was going to host it. So they're going to come to us next year in one of our tournaments. But we will go there this year, and I think it's just a great, we were on a hot streak for a second of getting that away SEC series or tournament where we could kind of play in that hostile environment. We went to Alabama, Arkansas, and I think it's really important to experience that as far as being prepared for a postseason environment. So it's one thing to have that at home, and it's another to kind of leave that home and be uncomfortable and nobody's rooting for you. So I'm excited for the challenge of that. Talk about a great team, stacked lineup, and a super hostile environment, and they, I think, are tops of the as far as attendance record. So we just love the challenge of it. Our girls are really excited. None of them have been there, so we're excited about it.
So do you think that that's a better challenge than these big tournaments like Clearwater and Cathedral City and all that stuff?
Honestly, I think they each provide different types of challenges. Like a 3-game series against an SEC opponent in their home territory is a way different challenge than, you go to Clearwater, you have 5 games against different opponents, you've got 5 different scouting reports, and you're trying to go on the fly, right? That feels a little World Series-ish too. So it just depends. I think this is going to be a really good challenge for, what we're going to have to do during conference and, after when you're talking about a super regional type of environment. So just excited for the challenge, and we have a group that's ready for the challenge. So yeah, and in the same breath, we're trying to do our best in talking about the future to live in the moment of getting better every single day. And that's the challenge right now is we're ready for opening day, but we've got 9 days to sharpen our skills.
What is it about Riley's ability and or makeup that gives you the confidence that she can be a contributor to the staff as a freshman?
She's a competitor. She expects a lot out of herself. She wants to win more than anything. And I think, she's very, she has a level head on her shoulders too. If she goes in and she gets hit, she's like, well, it's because I threw it there. It's pretty black and white, and, or I need to get better, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to, someone who makes excuses about why they're not getting it done. You just want someone to go in, get tested. If they fail, get better from it. And she's been phenomenal for the rest of our team too, as far as just the buy-in to what she needs to do for her job to create the results on the other side. And I think, when you have an infield like ours, it's really exciting that, you feed into them and they're just, making plays behind you.
I followed her in club a bit, and she was a pretty good hitter too. Does she ever bring that up?
She does not bring it up. She's pretty quiet, but I know she was good on both sides of the ball. So, but yeah, I think she's perfectly fine just living in the bullpen right now.
All the pitchers just going to be pitchers?
Yes, all the pitchers are just going to be pitchers, which I think Christian kind of loves because we had to pull so often. Miranda and Devin were out of pitcher meetings into the offensive lineup, and they were taking extra ground balls and such, and it's nice to kind of hunker down and just they've almost had a practice within a practice every single day, so that's been exciting for them. Although I do miss the flexibility of the lineup and what we could do in that direction. We'll have another one next year, so.
Anything else for Coach Lowe? All good?
Awesome. Thank you, guys.